こんにちは。元気ですか? Today we will learn long vowel rules, the very last rule to know about reading and writing hiragana. After watching today's video, you'll be accurately transcribe and pronounce any word written in hiragana. So let's get started. So what is long vowels? Let's look at the general rule. When you see the same vowel twice in a row in a word, the pronunciation of the vowel becomes about twice as long as the single vowel. Okay? Alright, let's look at the special rules. There are some special rules or exceptions which apply to some long vowel sounds. So first, you need to understand what it is as a general rule, but then you also need to be aware that there are some exceptions to that rule. So this is a general rule for a sound. Okay, so okasan. This word is mother in Japanese, and when you spell okasan with Roman letters, you see this double a sound here. When you have these two vowel sounds placed next to each other, you prolong that sound. So mother in Japanese is okasan. And when you read this word, it sounds like okasan, not really okaasan. We say okasan. You hear the prolonged sound? So this is how I encourage my students to learn how to spell words. Let's pretend that you have to remember this word in Japanese. So you go to the vocabulary list and then find out how you transcribe the word mother in Japanese. And then next, you read that word, okaasan, okaasan. And then when you get used to it, read that word faster. Okasan, okasan, okasan. So you hear yourself end up saying okasan, right? But then you still have to transcribe that word this way, okasan. Now, if you don't know the spelling, but if you hear the word and then you hear the prolonged a sound, you use hiragana a to indicate the extended a sound. So for example, if I say the word grandmother in Japanese, that's oba-san. Can you spell that word? Oba-san. It should be spelled like this. With double a sound, you use hiragana a after ba. Now, if I say oba-san, which means aunt, then oba-san has no extended a sound, so it's simply oba-san for the word aunt. Let's take a look at the long vowel sound for E sound. When you hear the prolonged E sound, you write it with hiragana I. So the word for big brother is oni-san. Oni-san. If you spell it with the Roman letters, it is O-N-I-I-S-A-N. Oni-san. So when you spell it, you add hiragana I in between ni and sa. And then when you read this word, it is oni-san, not oni-san. You say oni-san. Okay, when you hear this word, how would you transcribe it? Please write it down. Oji-san. Oji-san. Oji-san means grandpa. And And how do you spell that word with the prolonged E sound? Yes, you right. O-G-E-san. If you write without this E, it is oji-san and it means uncle. So it makes big difference in meanings. So watch out how you spell it. Now let's take a look at the prolonged U sound. The Japanese word for air is kuki. Kuki. Kuki, double U here. So you write it with hiragana U. And when you read it, it sounds like kuki, not kuuki. You write kuuki, you read it as kuki. Okay, then let's practice writing U sound word. The word for number in Japanese is suji. Suji. Can you spell that? Suji will spell like this with U in between because there's double U sound here. Okay, now let me bring this slide back to you as I was explaining about prolonged E sound. It says here, add E to hiragana containing the vowel E and E. Now, I did not mention this earlier, but now I do because now I have to talk about that special rule about long vowels. Okay, so here's the special rule number 1. Are you ready? When you hear the prolonged E sound, you wrote it with hiragana I, like oni-san, and that's a normal long vowel rule. Now, when you hear E sound, you still write it with hiragana I. So let's take a look at this word. Toke. Toke means watch. And toke, you hear the E sound at the end, but you still use hiragana I to transcribe it. So when you come across with the Japanese words that has special rule for long vowels, what you write may not necessarily match what you hear. So let's practice with this word, teacher. The word for teacher in Japanese is sensei. Sensei. How would you transcribe that word? It should spell with E at the end, even though you hear A sound at the end. So teacher is sensei, and you pronounce it as sensei. Sensei. Let me show you more words with this special rule. The word for English in Japanese is eigo. Eigo. You spell it as this. Eigo. Eigo is how you spell it, but you pronounce it as eigo. The word for college student is gakusei. Gakusei. Do you hear that A sound at the end? So your spelling should be gakusei for college student. Did you get it? All right, let's move on to special rule number 2. Okay, when you hear the long U sound, you spell it with hiragana U, which is a normal long vowel rule. Now, when you hear the long O sound, you still use hiragana U to write that word. So let's take a look at this one, normal long vowel rule. Suji, which is a number. You write it with u because you hear the u sound. Now when I say this word, bango, bango, do you hear the o sound at the end? But you still spell it with hiragana u. Now, interestingly, both suji and bango means number in English. All right, let's write some words that has this special rule number 2 in a long vowel sound. O. Okay, father is otosan, otosan, otosan. That middle O sound will be spelled with hiragana u. About this word, Tokyo, Tokyo, Tokyo. It has U for first O, to, and then another U for last Kyo, Tokyo, city of metropolitan city of Japan, Tokyo. Now let me pick some of the new vocabulary words from your textbook. You probably have this word, major, as your vocabulary list for lesson 1 or chapter 1. The word for major is senko, senko. Okay, now remember you study how you write new vocabulary first, okay? And then you read that word, and if you read that word faster, you hear yourself using the long vowel sound correctly. Senko. So this ood at the end is a prolonged long vowel sound. So senko is the correct pronunciation for this word. You hear senko, but you spell it with u at the end. Next word. The word for teacher, do you remember? It is sensei. Again, always remember how to spell it correctly first. And then you can read the word faster to get that long vowel correct pronunciation. Sensei, sensei. Okay, how about the word student for college student? The word for that is 学生, 学生. You hear yourself saying 学生, but write it with e at the end. Okay, let's remember some greetings. Do you remember how to say thank you? Yes, arigato, right? The word arigato is spelled as arigatou. Now, let me remind you of some greetings. Now, when we studied greetings in our previous lessons, you didn't know how to spell those phrases, but now you do. So let's take a look at this first one. Good morning. Ohayo. Ohayo. The very last u is for o sound. Goodbye is sayonara. Sayonara. Again, O sound here. And do you remember this phrase? どうぞよろしく. You use it to introduce yourself, right? どうぞ, どうぞ, right here. よろしく. And then I often say this word, そうです, そうです. So all of these words have that special long vowel rules. Now I'm here to confuse you a little bit. There are some words, not many, but there are some words that doesn't follow that special rules that I was talking about. So take a look at this word, oneesan, which means big sister in Japanese. When you hear this word, oneesan, you want to write this e-san with i because you just learned that special rule. But this is one of those exceptions that you write as you hear it. So, お姉さん, you write it with hiragana e. You don't have to write it with i. お姉さん is spelled as you hear it with hiragana e for that prolonged e sound. Let me mention two other words that you may likely to see them in your textbook. The first word is e. It means yes. And e is one of those exceptions that doesn't follow the special rule. You spell as you hear it. E. And the next one is 大きい, which means big. 大きい is also you spell as you hear it. 大きい. You don't need to change this o to u to follow the other rule. This is the exceptions. Okay, so before we conclude this long vowel lesson, let's sing a song. Do you know this movie? Tonari no Totoro is one of those Studio Ghibli movies. My Neighbor Totoro is the English title. And then their theme song is called Hey, Let's Go. And I want to read the lyrics together with you. So this is the whole lyrics. And I want to read this part together with you. It has some long vowel sound. So let's take a look. 歩こう、歩こう meaning let's walk, let's walk. 私は元気 I'm healthy, I'm in good spirit. 歩くの大好き I love walking. どんどん means it's an onomatopoeia continuously. 行こう means let's go. So that's what it means. The Japanese title for this song is Sampo Walk. Let's read this one more time with me. 読んでください。歩こう、歩こう。私は元気。歩くの大好き。どんどん行こう。そうです。Are you ready to sing a song with the music? それでは一緒に歌ってください。はい、いきます。歩こう、歩こう。私は元気。歩くの大好き。どんどん行こう。はい。Okay. All right. どうですか? If you want to continue to sing the rest of it, I'll put the link to this music website so that you can practice with them. Okay, so this is it. This wraps up my Hiragana series studying. I hope you had fun and I hope you will continue to join me for further Japanese lessons. どうもありがとう。さよなら。